Okay, I'm really sorry for the glitches with the technology. Kind of internet connectivity was a bit slow, so I had to use another medium. I'm really sorry for that. I'm Pascal from Sierra Leone, and I'm in the US on the Atlas Call Fellowship, which is basically a fellowship that brings people kind of a reverse Peace Corps. It kind of bring people from developing countries to the US to kind of serve for a year, and after a year go back to the countries to kind of implement what they've learned so far. So I know this might be a bit like strange to most people, considering that they might be wondering like, you're in the US, what's the big deal? Like, why do you need to keep telling people about what's going on here? I believe I just want to share my experience because so many young people out there, especially in Africa, are thinking that just coming to the US, you kind of like you're rich. Like the US is all about like riches, it's all about like wealth and everything. So I just want to give like my own experience because I was in similar position. So I happened to have come to the US from the 3rd of September last year. So I did a video March 10th that made me like 3 months in the US, and wherein I had to like state some of my ups and downs, kind of a bit of a challenge and some of the achievement that I was kind of exposed to. And I remembered actively stating that some of the advantages that I really saw in the US was firstly in the fast pace, how things were done in a really fast paced technology wise. Technology was really a big of an issue here because it's really so developed. Networking, people value networking events so much because they just believe people should be able to like voice their opinions. People should be able to like learn from each other through like a community of like experts. So that was a big advantage that I saw in the community as well. And I also saw that expressing your ideas, like Americans are used to the idea of like you express what you feel. It's not a matter of you kind of like feeling something is not going on and you holding on to it back. No, it's an idea of like if something is not going right, you have to like correct it right at that spot. I think that was a big learning curve for me as well. And yeah, the tourist attraction sites, the building, kind of the opportunities. There's so many conferences, professional programs, fashion events for people who are really passionate in about fashion and everything. And some of the down things that I kind of saw as really a big shock to me was, first of all, the cost of living, which was like really expensive compared to back home in Sierra Leone. Like for everything, I would kind of like convert everything I want to buy, I'll kind of convert to my local currency, and that like created so much problem for me because I would be like, oh my god, no, I can get this for a cheaper price back home. So, but with time, I got to understand that the society context different, standard of living different, and even the wage and minimum salaries like differ greatly. So what? So I had to like devise my own coping strategy to just live the life, okay? To just kind of immerse myself into the society and just make myself happy. It's not a matter of keeping tussling back and forth trying to convert every currency as much as possible. No. Back home, we used to hear of people earning like $50,000 annual salary. I would like convert the money and then say, hey, that's a huge sum of money. But no, now I get to really understand the context in which some of these salaries are being paid and the taxes and everything. So that was a big learning curve for me as well. The accent, like I happen to have some couple of friends around, and we kind of been moving around, and like when once they heard my accent, they were like that's a strange accent. That's a very strong accent that you have. Where are you from? Like initially I took it as an offense. Personally, I had problem with that, but later on I got to observe that it was understandable because they were just too surprised, they were just too frank. So it's a matter of just expressing themselves that they've just been curious to know where I'm from particularly. So I get to understand that the American accent is a bit different in as much as I'm not trying to like imitate the Americans, but for some words you just have to like adapt, okay? Thinking about like water. I'm from a British background, like British colonized, basically Sierra Leone. I went through the British system of education, so most of the words are completely different from me. So instead of water, they will say like water. Instead of start, they'll just completely drop off the T, star, or like use star. So that was a completely different sense to me, like instead of metal, metal, instead of better, better. Oh my God. So that's completely a totally different, and it's a learning, like having to cope in this diverse world. We definitely need to acquire as much diversity skills as necessary. And another issue is the food, basically, that I mentioned at my 3 months mark. Back home, I'll be like, hey, I want to eat this, do this for me, do this for me. But here in the US, I realized that everything, if you want people to do it for you, you have to pay. And if you don't want to pay, then you just have to do it yourself. So that really empowered me so much and has really imbued in me some level of confidence that I have to kind of stick to what I can do and have to like do things for myself, be responsible, and not like rely on other people to kind of spoon feed me or do things for me. And kind of the downside was like I'm missing my food, like most of my my local food. I wish, like, if I can turn the hands of time, I wish I had learned to prepare some of these foods. Honestly, mental issue is a big problem here in this country because most of the young people that you see around, they're like, I don't know, they're completely like having some mental issues, and I think that's really a big issue here that struck me the most. I initially thought everything was really rosy, but when once I came to the US, I realized that no, it's just like any other country in the world. And one thing again that I learned here was that believe yourself, like you read directions. People don't have time for like mediocres. You won't be around just asking people, hey, direct me here, direct me here. No, everything is writing. All the instructions basically are written everywhere. So you have to rely on your Google map, which has been my savior. You have to rely on symbols. You have to rely on reading signs and symbols everywhere you go. So that was a big shock for me. Now it's like 6 months in the US. I came here on September 10th, and now it's basically, yesterday was like 6 months in the US. So couple of changes. I've undergone a couple of changes, and now I can say I'm a bit resilient, and I've also developed few critical skills that I think I want to challenge my colleagues out in Africa to kind of listen and then know the actual fact of what's happening in the world where you so desire it's all rosy. First of all, technology, I've really gone completely digital. Like I've gone completely digital. I use paper as minimal as possible. I try not to print when not necessary. I instead read it from social media platforms. I read it on my tab and just try to like utilize digital platform as much as possible. I use storage like online storage cloud service. I use my mobile devices. I take notes in Evernote, which is like an online platform, and I kind of assign most of my tasks on the Google Calendar. So now there's no need for me to kind of like, okay, I need to do this. I kind of jot it down on a paper. No, there's no need for that, because that's the first stage in which you tend to like miss out on some of these tasks. But once you have like a central database where in all of your tasks are based, it's easy for you to track like what needs to be done. It's easy for you to track like the reminder. It's easy for you to be on top of your game, basically, as I can say. And like most of the people that really know me, they know that Pascal is this kind of a shy guy back in Sierra Leone, but interestingly, I'm no longer shy. I know deep, I'm kind of an introvert, but that doesn't mean you have to be shy. No, you have to exactly claim what you want and express your true feeling. Be sincere. if you have to be sincere to anyone, it has to be to yourself. So I learned that very much, and really that has really helped me to be really independent as much as possible. For networking events, I go to networking events so overwhelmed. I really don't know what to expect. I really don't know like what I'm looking for. So along the way, anything can easily distract me. Now, when I go to a networking event, I kind of really know what I'm expecting, and I kind of really know what I'm bringing to the table. It's not a matter of me going to networking events just to learn from people. I'm also going there to tell people about my beloved country. I'm going there to tell people about the dream that I have. I'm going there to tell people, to learn, to kind of tell people about what I know about a certain knowledge, and then allow people to like teach me more about certain things. So it's a two-way street. But if you go to like networking events and just expect to hear from people, then basically you're not making use of that. And that, to a greater extent, I can say I'm really grateful to Olu Benga for the he did kind of a 5 days course, which was really defining your purpose and then ensuring that you're in the right path. Acceleration course, that was the best course that ever happened to me. So I'm really grateful for that. And conversations, like previously, I just allow people to take up conversations. I hardly like maintain conversations to like certain level. Along the way, people will kind of sense it that I'm doing all the talking. Like, what are you like? What do you have to say? But now it's more it's more of engaging conversations. So I kind of strike a conversation. I ensure that I maintain it and I never let it die out. Like, that is a critical skill that I believe young people should also acquire. Learn to keep up conversations as much as possible, and don't just allow people to just do all the talking. There's so much you can ask. Like, there's so much you can ask about any conversation that strikes up. Cooking skills, basically. I know my parents will be so happy to hear that Pascal is really developing the cooking skills. But basically, like most of my friends, when I tell them I'm learning cooking skills, they'll be like, no, like you cannot even boil water, like you cannot do anything, basically. And I'm like, no. Even rocket science, in the idea of rocket science, people learn rocket science. So what is cooking of an art? It's just a matter of practice. So now that I know I need to learn how to cook, because I have no one to do it for me, and I crave and I have cravings for certain kind of food. It's a matter of going to the kitchen and learning to cook. I remembered visiting one of my friends, Bertrand, in New York. He firstly told me that no, the first thing is stop looking at your friends. You got to learn to be confident with yourself. Start very slow and then see how best you progress. Along the way, be proud of whatever thing you do. So I believe that has made a whole lot of difference to me, because now I can say basically I'm really developing my cooking skills, and for that I'm really, really thankful. Timely, like we have back home, we have like the BMT, we have the Greenwich Mean Time, and we also have the BMT, which happens to be the Black Man Time. It's basically like 1 or 2 hours ahead of the GMT. So if an event starts at 9 o'clock, the BMT will be like 11 o'clock. Like, that's the time you expect people to come. So that aspect of me has also been improved drastically. Now I'm so time conscious, because I ensure that, because I have kind of a central database, a central platform wherein I keep most of my tasks, a central platform wherein I kind of schedule all my tasks. It's easy for me to really align and be really timely with duties and tasks and everything. So I really think people must really learn to kind of improve themselves, because time means money. Time is money. Time means everything. If you can allocate time and then stick to time as efficient as possible, trust me, you're heading for a success in a very short possible time. But the reason why most of us in Africa fail to like really utilize or reach the greatest potential, our greatest potential, is because we mostly miss out on time. Like, we take things for granted. We always believe there's so much time. There's not much time. You have to utilize time as best as possible. The downside, few of the challenges that I still think I'm kind of really working on. One, I can say multitasking. Like my boss is a super multitasker. She works on everything, and I see like the American system is like sort of a multitasking environment because kind of now I'm learning to like walking whilst walking to the office. I kind of read a newspaper, I kind of reading novels whilst meeting with friends, like conduct and being in a meeting. I kind of do my official work. So it's kind of a multitasking environment. Sometimes you just have to like squeeze yourself, kind of get rid of distractions and kind of stay focused for you to really achieve certain level of success. The accent, I can say I'm still managing the accent. Not, I don't have any plans of imitating the Americans. I just want to stay natural to myself. I just want to be as normal as I can and try to like just work on my pronunciation a bit more. It's not because we are from Africa, we take things for granted that that's how I pronounce it. This is how I learn it. This is how I know how to do it. No, you have to learn because some of us are from countries wherein we had to learn the hard way. So now that you have the kind of the opportunity to learn the correct way, I believe you have to discipline yourself to learn what is right. Enough time for myself. I also think that is something I'm still working on. I still need to think. I tend to like help be engaged in more extra things that I don't think that are adding value to me. Now kind of the challenge that I'm faced with now is finding a way to like balance workload so that I can have like fun time for myself and kind of just explore the city a bit more. And savings has also been a problem for me. In the US, you virtually have everything at your beck and call. Like everything is just within arm's length. You kind of order things online. It takes like a day or two. They're delivered right at your doorstep. So it's kind of really tempting to kind of keep up a saving habit. So that is basically a challenge that I'm still working on. But definitely, I believe as long as I've realized that it's a problem, I believe that's the first stage in solving the issue. Social issue like in the US, I observed that they've been able to like come up and bring up innovative solutions to most of the social issues around the world. And one of the things that I really challenge myself is to learn as much as possible about some of these innovations and kind of replicate it back to my African continent. Take, for example, the idea of the menstrual. Like, I'm really passionate about menstrual health because I believe back in Africa, this is a big, major concern for most people. And if you're talking about tackling teenage pregnancy, you have to ensure that the teenage girl knows about their body and are in the first position to kind of secure themselves, know when it's safe and when it's not safe, and then also provide access to safe sanitary pads. So these are some of the ideas really that I believe the US has been able to like really come up with innovative solutions. And these are some of the ideas that I hope to like really understand, see how best I can be able to like replicate them back to our African continent and then maybe just tweak it a little bit more. So it's a learning curve. I'm so happy I'm in the US for 6 months, remaining another 6 months left. And for now, I can say I'm totally a different person and I'm really readily available to any young person seeking help, seeking kind of a motivation. If you feel down and you really think you need someone to talk to, feel free to reach out to me. It's been 6 months already in the US. I just feel like I just came in yesterday and it's been a worthwhile experience. And thank you so much, Atlas Car. Thank you so much, World Vision USA. I'm learning so much. And thank you all, my Facebook pal, for being so resilient and for being that strong pillar of support I always lean on for help. Thank you so much. And I gotta go now. It's Saturday and I have another end of life. So we gotta enjoy and have fun. Cheers. Goodbye.